Hey guys, Luke here, and I've got to be honest, as a New South Wales supporter, this video is quite bittersweet, but we're going to be talking about Game 3 of the 2020 State of Origin series. The Queensland Maroons winning and also wrapping up the series 20-14. Tightly contested game in the end, but just in terms of the actual game itself, I felt like Queensland were just on top from start to finish. That's what it felt like to me. I think that's what it felt like to the general public too. Which is quite surprising considering I thought it was going to be the complete opposite. I thought New South Wales would be all over Queensland. Queensland would hang in, but that's literally what New South Wales are doing. They just hung in all night. Kind of didn't let Queensland get too far away, but never really threatened Queensland at the same time. Even when it got down to the wire and New South Wales had a chance to level up the scores if they keep the goal. But when it got to a time where they could have leveled it, they still didn't really offer too much. Now look, I will say, it's hard for me to talk here without there being any bias and all that sort of stuff. So I'm going to try my best. Bear with me, guys. But yeah, I will say Queensland 100% deserved to win this one. It was just within the first 5-10 minutes, you could see, like, yeah, Queensland was switched on, New South Wales weren't, and that all went even worse when James Tedesco went off with the head knock. It looked pretty bad too. Definitely was not a fan of the Jai Arrow picking up and slamming him. I know that happens a fair bit in Origin, where people, they drop the ball and they rub their heads and all that sort of shit. But look, I've never been a fan of it, and I'm definitely not a fan of it once a player's been knocked out. Now, granted, Jai Arrow did put his hand up and say, look, yep, he's knocked out, but I mean, mate, he's already knocked out. You just give him another head knock. Now you're just realising, like, you didn't feel it when he was like a dead weight. I don't know. Yeah, you can probably talk about that for hours. You can probably talk about a few controversies for a long time, but what we're going to be talking about is just how good Wayne Bennett actually is, and more importantly, how important Cameron Munster is to that side. We saw him go down in the first couple of minutes in Game 2, and I feel like he came out in Game 3 ready to prove a point that side in Game 2, they lost because he wasn't there. That's honestly how it felt like. Cameron Munster just absolutely destroyed New South Wales. I would say single-handedly, but he got a fair bit of help too. But he definitely he's just so dangerous. Now, whenever New South Wales had the ball, I feel like your Cody Walkers and that, I think they did go disappearing. Look, I thought Nathan Cleary played alright. He didn't play terrible. He definitely, there's been a lot of talk about how he's, he's another Mitchell Pearce. That stuff has all come back up. Last week he was, we finally got a brilliant halfback. This week it's back to he can't win a series, can't win the grand final. Look, he's just Mitchell Pearce reincarnated. Now, I saw enough last night, so that's definitely not the case. Even that 40-20 he kicked when New South Wales under pressure, I think that was amazing. Not a lot of players can do that, but he does have to have some help. Like, the forward pack was absolutely abysmal for New South Wales. Absolutely abysmal. Now, I think the only good forward pack player for the Blues, I think, was Angus Crichton, to be honest with you. I think he was the only one who stood up and had a really good go. I mean, Payne Haas, Jake Trbojevic, I'm starting to lose a bit of faith in guys like Jake Trbojevic in the Origin arena. I'll talk about that a later day. I think I'm going to do another video where I just do a rant on the Blues team. But yeah, just the Queensland side, they were just a perfect matchup for New South Wales. Look, they took a whole bunch of, I wouldn't say complete nobodies, but there were a lot of guys who were fringe first graders, chucked them in this Queensland side, and it just shows you how important it is to have guys like Cameron Munster. Even Cherry Evans, look, I thought Cherry Evans was pretty poor, to be honest. I don't think he's had a great series, but he probably does a lot of the stuff that you don't necessarily see. Like, he's not going to be there making line breaks and all that sort of stuff, but he probably directs the team around very, very well. He is the captain for a reason, probably leads them around, probably just gets the players confident, does that sort of stuff. I mean, even right down to before Game 1, all the talk of this being the worst Queensland team of all time, all that sort of stuff, and Cherry Evans came out and said, I think we're actually going to win this one. And I remember saying, I don't know if that's him being delusional, if that's him actually truly believing it, but turns out he actually bloody believed it, and he's come through with it. They got the win. But yeah, I'm more shocked and I'm more disappointed in the New South Wales side with just the fashion that Queensland won in. Now, if it had been like a tightly contested, it was a tightly contested game, but it also wasn't at the same time. New South Wales defended their arse off, that's for sure. They definitely defended very, very well. Queensland should have scored probably a couple more tries if a few passes went their way, and also if Corey Allen wasn't the fullback. I mean, that was probably one of the worst Origin performances I've ever seen, and yet the team won. So it's probably not going to really be talked about, but pretty poor performance there from Corey Allen. But look, we'll put it down to inexperience, put it down to nerves. I thought the other debutants were all pretty solid. Yeah, the Lee cousins, Edric and Branko. Was anyone else? I feel like there's someone else. Harry Grant, phenomenal. He's so good, doesn't even feel like it was his first game. Just absolutely incredible. But you look at all the changes Queensland made, and New South Wales went unchanged after an absolute flogging in Game 2. They absolutely destroyed Queensland, blew them out of the park, no changes, no nothing, and they've gone into Game 3, and you'd think they'd be full of confidence, but it's like as soon as they started playing, it's like they had no confidence. It's like they were expecting an ambush from Queensland, and I suppose to a degree, we kind of were. Just talking to people throughout the week, I remember seeing people wearing Blues jerseys, and I'd be like, oh, nice jersey, love it, all that sort of stuff. And then they'd go, oh, yeah, no, keen for Wednesday. And I'd be like, oh, surely they got to win. And it'd always be, you think, but you never know. You never know with Queensland. And that's the actual reality, is that Queensland, whether it's because of that dynasty that they had, now it's just implanted in everyone's mind, and it's always going to have a psychological thing, or whether it's just the actual Queensland mentality, I don't really know. But there's just always that thing in your head. Queensland could literally field their under-20s team, and you'd still be like, look, there is a possibility that they are going to beat New South Wales. It's just always there. But yeah, I think the game was definitely killed off when Tedesco went down. I don't know, more so because the replacements just weren't up to scratch. Now, I felt like the whole Origin series, I haven't been the biggest fan of Gutherson in the side. I feel like he's one of those guys who is quite a solid club player. And I feel like the whole Dally M situation pushed him higher than what he actually is. A lot of people looked at him and went, oh, well, he came second or third, whatever it was in the Dally M's. He should have won it. But I think we've seen enough for the Dally M to say it's a bit of a farce with how they rated it. Yeah, it was a weird one. I think we can say Nathan Cleary was clearly the best player throughout the year, yet he wasn't even really factored in terms of the actual winning the medal. So, yeah, New South Wales shifted Dally M fullback of the year, Gutherson to fullback. Yeah, it felt like he offered not much. And this is what I talk about, where, carrying the utility. There's been a lot of people talking about Pappenhausen. I feel like at least he has that X factor where you could have chucked him on in the forwards if no injury happened, and you could have chucked him in at fullback and he probably would have done quite a good job. I feel like a guy like Gutherson, he needs a bit of structure. He's not sort of an off-the-cuff player. So chucking him in at fullback where, he's not really going to know the structure. He hasn't played fullback for New South Wales, barely played for New South Wales in general, let alone at fullback. So, yeah, I felt Gutherson going back there, I think it really hampered it. But I think the more important thing was Isaiah Yeo in the centres. He's played a little bit of centre for Penrith. Actually played quite a bit of centre for Penrith, but that was a long time ago. I think he's really evolved into like a proper out-and-out second rower. And him going into the centres, I think it really, really hurt the Blues. And guys like Addo-Carr, I think, definitely didn't benefit from it. But yeah, I think it's just unfortunate circumstances, but it just goes to show you, like, Cameron Munster's injury in Game 2 is probably a lot more impactful than what we kind of imagined at the time. We've seen Munster go off, we've seen Tedesco go off. It's no coincidence that both the best players for each side went off early injured, and both of their attacks went to shit. So yeah, I think we can both see the benefits of having both those guys on the field. So I think New South Wales, maybe they would have got the job done with Tedesco, maybe they would have come back. But, I mean, it was 6-6 when he went off the field, I believe. And, look, the scoreline was never really a blowout or anything. So, with how Queensland were playing, I think the biggest thing for Queensland was their forwards just had a roll on. Harry Grant was able to get out there and cause damage early in the second half. As soon as he came on the field, actually, he was damaging. He literally looked like a guy who was just born to play Origin. And the frustrating thing is Queensland keep being able to produce these sorts of players. We saw Ponga come in, and when he played, it was like, well, he's born to play Origin. Chuck in Harry Grant there, born to play Origin. There's half of your spine right there. Munster's going to be around for a while. They just need to find a solid halfback, and Queensland are set. And it seems to me that, as long as they have a decent coach, and as long as New South Wales is going to have Brad Fittler, and he's going to keep making weird decisions, he's going to keep picking fullbacks in at centre and centres in the wing and all that sort of stuff. Look, I think New South Wales are going to struggle. I think they got away with it the last couple of years. They talk about this Queensland side being the worst in history. I think the last couple of ones have been worse. And I will say, a lot of the talk is, Queensland won. Look at that up here, New South Wales, like the worst team just won. But even when you look at some of the sides, let's say of recent times, they are one of the worst sides of recent times compared to that dynasty. It's just a matter of New South Wales that is even worse. And look, they just had that Queensland spirit, got together, played as a team. Look, the big saying was back when Real Madrid had all of the superstars in soccer, they had every superstar in the book, yet they couldn't produce on the field together in the big games. And that's what New South Wales kind of feels like to me. They had all of the names, your Nathan Cleary's, your Damien Cook, Tedesco, Jack White, and Addo-Carr. They had all those guys, couldn't put it together on the field. They did it for one game, but one game doesn't mean a series. So, yeah, it was quite a frustrating game. I haven't even really talked about try scorers and that. But look, we'll talk about the try scorers real quickly. Val Holmes, I think he scored in the corner. It was just typical winger finish. Xavier Coates had been there doing it. Valentine Holmes, we definitely know he can do it. He's done it in previous Origins, done it again. Trying to think, Harry Grant, Sealer, absolutely amazing. It wasn't against run of play, but I kind of wasn't expecting it to happen. And then I can't even remember who scored the other try, but I'm sure it was a pretty good one. And then we have the one that I'd kind of forgotten, to be honest, but it is a talking point. It was the Edric Lee one. There's a bit of controversy around that one. I've tried to choose to forget that one, maybe. But yeah, a bit of controversy. But for me, Bronco Lee clearly knocks it backwards. I feel like it's just an Origin thing where everyone has their blue tinted glasses on and is going, yeah, definitely a knock on. But I don't think that was a knock on. I think it was a pretty clear knockback. Edric Lee took advantage of it. It's just poor defense from New South Wales in general. But in the end, it was all started by Cameron Munster as well. I remember he went down the short side, did the little kick, and I thought, yeah, shit play, fifth tackle, what are you doing? And it actually came off. And that's probably what New South Wales missed. They missed the ability to be able to do something like that, something out of nothing. Once Tedesco was off, I feel like he was the only one who could really do it. Maybe an Ado Carr, someone like that. But Nathan Cleary doesn't really do it. Cody Walker definitely didn't do it. And I feel like it's kind of a known thing that Cody Walker seems to go missing in big games, and sure enough, this was a big game and he kind of went missing. Now, it's unfortunate he got knocked out in the end. You definitely don't want to see that happening, but I don't think it really influenced the game. In fact, I think New South Wales looked better when Jack White went to 5'8". In terms of the Blues tries, though, I mean, Tedesco scored as a lucky one. Unlucky for Corey Allen, he was uncontested. Don't know how he dropped that. Daniel Tupou in the corner, pretty standard one, but the big talking point for New South Wales, and what probably talked about for quite a while, is the Ado Carr. It was a sim bin. It should have been a penalty try. Should it have? Honestly, I feel like Ado Carr definitely would have got to it. When he goes past Corey Allen, he gets pulled down. I think Munster was just slightly ahead of him. And we saw in the previous couple seconds before that, we saw Ado Carr just absolutely blitz past people. He's got the best acceleration in the business. He's so quick. Now, Phil Good was talking about him being fastest player alive and fastest man alive, all that sort of stuff. Just exaggerate. Typical Phil Good rubbish. But I think Josh Ado Carr definitely would have got to it. Just a matter of would he had put the ball down. So in an ideal situation, I'd love to say, yeah, that's a penalty try, but just with how they've awarded them in the past and how they've ruled it in the past, I don't think there's any way that could have been a penalty try, but would have been amazing, would have been kick from right in front, would have been an awesome finish. Corey Allen would have been on the field. Just more reflective of New South Wales not being able to take advantage of a couple sets, not just one set, but a couple sets on the line, and then put the nail in the coffin. Junior Paulo, a guy who I didn't think should have been in the side from the start. I just can't believe David Clemmer wasn't in the side. That match was screaming out for a guy like David Clemmer to come on. Even Nathan Brown barely played, but yeah, the New South Wales 4-pack didn't deliver. Queensland did. Whole Queensland as a whole delivered. Surprisingly, to be honest. But look, end of the day, that's the Queensland spirit, and Queensland getting the job done once again. They know how to win, and they've won once again. Leave in the comment section below, guys. What did you think of the game? What did you think of all the controversies? What did you think of the teams? Do you think Queensland's side was actually a bad side, or did they get a bad rap? I know maybe I was pretty harsh on them. I don't know. But yeah, leave in the comment section below anything you want to talk about regarding the game and the series. Whilst away at it, guys, if you did happen to enjoy this video, make sure you go ahead and give the video a like and subscribe to the channel if you're new around here. Also, make sure to follow me on Twitter and Instagram. It's on the screen right now. Here we go. It's Mr. Luke and YT. I'm going to be posting on that a little bit, probably tweeting out links to my streams and all that sort of stuff. I want to start streaming a little bit more, so there you go. Anyway, guys, I'm going to wrap up this video. Thanks for watching. I'll probably do a video ranking about New South Wales in the near future, so stay tuned for that. But that's the end of this video. I'll see you next time. Bye, guys.